minutes. If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 405 of Picks and Ponies right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz, alongside very soon my wonderful co-host, which I'll bring on here in just a minute. But we are here to talk about a big day at Oaklawn Park and the late pick 5 featured by the, hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. I got a hold of my hat here. How about $1.25 million on the line for the older males going 2 turns in the Oaklawn Handicap? There's also a listed stake, 3 other great races. We're here to talk about all of that. But folks, you're going to want to stick around for this whole show because this is an action-packed episode 405 of Picks and Ponies. We are also going to have our fantasy draft order. We are having our Kentucky Derby fantasy draft, the second year we've done in a row with every single host and co-host on our show, including Matt Miller. That show is going to be Monday night at 8 p.m. You're not going to want to miss it. We've got to pick the order or see who's going to pick first in our Kentucky Derby / Oaks fantasy draft. We're doing that tonight. We also are going to have not one, but 2. That's right, 2 rants at the end of the show. Paul and I were at Keelan along with our unbelievable family that we have here of friends and hosts and co-hosts. And we'll talk a little bit about our trip to Lexington, Kentucky last weekend. But we have 2 rants that we need to discuss also at the end of the show. So we got a lot going on tonight. We'll talk a little bit about the Grade 1 Gamble contest as well. So action-packed. Before I get on to my co-host, make sure you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Fantastic tip sheet. And I've got a big announcement, by the way. Actually, 2 big announcements. Just there's so much information to talk about tonight. It's crazy as I'm writing down one of the announcements so I don't forget. But we have a fantastic tip sheet. Look below the video player. You can get it through Patreon. It's our standard Power Pick tip sheet, which comes out on Saturday mornings. We have literally hundreds of subscribers to our Power Picks tip sheet. You can find out more information on our website, hhhracingpodcast.com. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Hit the notification bell on the top right on YouTube and smash that like button. And the last thing I'll say before I bring on my co-host here, we've been promoting the YouTube channel big time, and we have over 5,000 subscribers. We are getting closer and closer to 3,000 subscribers on our X handle. And it's right there. We don't promote it enough. At HHH Racing Pod. This is mine and the podcast X handle. Again, at HHH Racing Pod. If you are on X and you don't follow us, why not? Please get your friends, neighbors, and please follow us on X. All right, let me bring on my wonderful co-host. Pete Visco is out of town this weekend, so I am in very capable hands here with my trusty other co-host from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the Saratoga Special. And boy, did he have a weekend at Lexington, or actually a week, I should say. He had a lot of fun there with the Dormans and many other things. Let's bring him on right now, Mr. Paul Halloran. Paul, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Howard. I'm having a little Keeneland withdrawal, but other than that, it's hard to watch it on TV now, but I do.
It is. I don't know about you. I need some sleep Monday night and Tuesday night. I'm just starting to recover, I think, from the weekend, but it was a lot of fun. Doors were very welcomingly opened many times at Keelan by the unbelievable hospitality. Jim Goodman. Let's just get that off. Let's just check that off the list right now, Paul. I want to thank a lot of people, but very quickly, Jim Goodman, everyone in the green room who helped out us be there for Friday and Sunday, and all the great hospitality and people at Keelan Racecourse. Paul, it never fails to amaze me how wonderful Keelan is. I can't wait to go back there in the fall.
Yeah, I actually wrote a column while I was on the way home, and half about meeting the Cody's Wish foals, which was a great thrill on Friday morning, But then I did work in just the specialness of Keeneland. It's up on the thisishorseracing.com website. I don't know if Pete's put it on our site yet, but it's on thisishorseracing.com, and it's, it's part the Cody's Wish story lives on in these two foals that we met Friday morning. But the second part really deals with what you just referenced, Howard. It's really hard to describe, and I write for a living and I talk for a living, but it is a special place. And my fourth trip, I had never been there before April of 23, and that was my fourth trip. I've now been at Keeneland for racing 18 days in 3 years. So
Wow.
it was special. And yeah, Jim and Misty and Jesse and Cheryl up in the green room, and but really everyone, Jim Navolio and Kevin O'Keefe down at the tunnel crossing gate, everyone you come across. Buff Bradley, had a pleasure of him coming out to dinner with us one night. Virtually everyone there is a great host or hostess.
That's great. It's so exciting. Is there an earthquake going on in UMass? Your camera was shaking just a little bit. I guess it's okay now. You're so excited. It's all good.
I hope not. But yeah. I am in a basement if there is.
All right, well, that's good. Ralph Conti I also want to mention, very, very happy Easter and Good Friday to all of our fans, family, friends who celebrate, which is probably most people. So again, happy Easter to everyone this Sunday, and I hope it's going to be a joyous occasion with you and yours. A lot of food, a lot of family for those people that celebrate. So happy Easter to everyone out there. We've got new person in the chat, John Fortwendell. John, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Aloha, from Indiana, not aloha from Hawaii, but okay, I like it. John, how you doing? Thanks for joining the show, my friend. Appreciate it. Sean Kane is here. We got Patrick Littledew. We have Matt Miller is here saying hello. Of course, Katie is here. Paul Collin is here. A lot of people. Our Stephanie, Jim Goodman hooked me up with the equestrian dining room tickets last week at Keeneland. Super guy, also came to say hello. Speaking of saying hello, Paul, I was able to meet a bunch of fans, and it's one of the things I really enjoy doing. I love when the fans reach out to us through email or whatever, including Dr. K, who is a obstetrician who was celebrating his 75th birthday in the Lexington room, went up and gave him some hats. So that was a pleasure. Met Cameron. I know I'm going to miss some people, so I apologize if I forget your name and you're listening. But anyway, met a lot of people, Paul. It's just our family keeps growing and growing. It's really awesome. Matt Miller says it best. Our crew has figured out how to, quote, do it right. And Keeneland thankfully obliges 100% the best time for sure. So anyway, thanks to everyone out there who was a part of our Keeneland trip. We'll talk about how it ended on Saturday. Not so good, but anyway, it was a blast. All right. The first thing I want to do, Paul, is get to our fantasy draft order. Now, I know our hosts and co-hosts are anxiously watching the show and they want to know. So for people who don't know, we have our fantasy draft this Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We have five teams. There'll be 4 rounds, of course, 20 horses for the Derby. And then we're all also going to pick a Oaks horse. So everyone's going to get 5 picks total with the 5 rounds. Very exciting. I can't remember what happened last year. Let's see. Paul, what happened last year? It's slipping my mind.
Yeah, think Secretariat in the Belmont.
Okay. Pete and Paul crushed last year. And I believe Kyle and Patrick had a surprising second. I only say surprising because they had a few of the Japanese runners who ended up running huge, and not only Forever Young. So I believe, don't quote me, but I think Kyle and Patrick finished second, but I could be wrong. So what we're going to do first very quickly, and for those of you that are listening as a replay, I'm about to bring a spinner up on the screen. So let me do that right now. And we're going to do this very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go ahead and present on screen. And we're going to see who's going to get the first picks. There they are, Paul. There's the 4 teams. Myself and Matt, you and Pete, Kyle, Patrick, Noah, Charlie, and the new addition this year, Ryan and Jackson. Here's what we're going to do, Paul. We're just going to do this in reverse order. So I'm going to spin the spinner here. I'll bring you on screen also. And this will be the 5th pick. There's 5 picks. It is going to be a snake draft, so to speak. Again, watch the show Monday. You'll find out a lot more. But The 5th pick in the first round is going to be, who is it going to be? Who gets the 5th pick? The West Coast boys, Ryan and Jackson, will get the 5th pick. All right, we'll see who gets the 4th pick in the first round. Here it comes. Spinning, and it's going to be Pete and Paul get the 4th pick. And ladies and gentlemen, I promise this is not rigged. This is absolutely, completely as random can be. So it is down to the top 3, myself and Matt, Kyle and Patrick, Noah and Charlie. The big question here, Paul, is if Noah and Charlie get the number 1 pick in the draft, is there any possible way that Noah can be convinced to take Sandman? I say no, but that's what Charlie's going to want to do.
No, I know for a fact he has a brain.
You're speaking of Noah, correct?
Correct.
All right. 3rd pick. Here we go. Who's getting the 3rd pick in the round 1? It's going to be, oh boy. Noah and Charlie. That might work out very well for them, actually, for Sandman, if they go to Sandman. So Noah and Charlie get the 3rd pick. Well, that leaves clearly the 2 best teams that are out there and get the 1 or 2 pick. Is it going to be myself and Matt, or is it going to be Kyle and Patrick? If it's Matt and I getting the 1st pick, Paul, you know the conspiracies are going to be out.
You got it. By the way, you got it last year. What's the difference?
Wow.
You're not going to do it.
Wow, Matt, you heard that, right, Matt? That's smack talking going on. All right, the number 2 pick in the fantasy draft is... Keep going. Dang it. All right, that's okay. Myself and Matt gets pick number 2, and the number 1 pick goes to Kyle and Patrick. Get the number 1 pick in Monday's fantasy draft. I got a bizarre feeling, Paul, I know where they're going to go.
Yeah.
I think so. Now, there's also going to be 1 Oaks pick also. That's going to be a lot of fun. Paul, I saw you wrote it down. I actually wrote down nothing, but I'll remember it or watch the show again. So very interesting to see what happens on Monday, fantasy draft, Oaks and Derby, right here in the HHH Racing Podcast. Please join us for that. All right. Let's get into the late pick 5, Paul, at Oaklawn, and then I will announce something very important about the Oaks and Derby with our new power picks coming up here in just a moment. So let me move this out of the way. Let me go there. All right, we're going to start here with, let me take the banner off the screen. Oaklawn, late pick 5 on Saturday, starts in race 8, includes 2 stakes, including the $1.25 million Oaklawn Handicap. Let me go ahead and bring up the first race right here. There it is. Race 8 starts at 4:09 Central. That's 5:09 Eastern. It is an allowance race for the filly and mares. Big field of 11. Morning line favorite is the number 10, Little Blaze, for Mr. Asterson and Keith. Asterson also has the number 8, Mo, for us, a Louisiana bred, with Eric riding, who's the second choice, at 3-1. So the Astersons have the top 2 choices according to the morning line. Let's see where we are going to go. I'm going to go with one of them. Actually, we're both, look at this, Paul. We're both going 10-11. I'm going 10-11-2. Paul's going 10-11-5. Let's talk about Little Blaze with Asterson and his son, Keith. What do you like about the 10, Paul?
Let me get back to that. I was just making note how interesting to play Keeneland Saturday because Pratt, Irad, and Saez are all at Oaklawn, FYI.
Interesting.
But anyway, this is Keith Asterson, as you pointed out. Well, the bad news, that last race, he looked like a winner in the last race. I'm sure you watch it, Howard. He took the lead in the stretch. I don't think he went early. He got picked up late by a 3-5 shot, a horse that's supposed to win. He was 8-1. Horses out of that race are 0-4, an average Bayer regression of 8 points, which is not terrific, but doable. I just thought that was a winning effort in the same company. And the fact that the horse that beat him was 3-5, that tells me that he duplicates that race he wins here.
I agree. I think he's going to.
She.
Oh, well, here we go. Let's have a beverage, shall we? She.
Coffee for me.
Just plain old Fiji water. Nothing special for me tonight. Sorry, all you young people out there, we're not boozing, but had enough boozing last weekend. Asmussen owns this horse, by the way, too, which
Yes.
he doesn't own a lot of his own. Should set a great trip. I have nothing really to add here. A 7-year-old, 7-year-olds can still be very effective. Boy, she's in like the form of her life at age 7, which is pretty cool. So I think she's going to set a great trip. She's working well. It just seems extremely logical to me. Now, there is quite a bit of speed in this race, Paul, which I'm assuming that's why we're thinking about the 11 here, because we both got the 11. It does project to be a fast pace with the 11 who we have in second here, Paul. All the ways you can see in the back. There's a few things I want to mention first about the 11. One is the 11 does not look quite as effective on wet going, is 0 for 2 on the wet, does have a place. I don't like the way the horse ran last time at all. I'm guessing the horse just needed one. Coming back relatively quickly, so I do like that. Slightly concerned, maybe the horse just needed one, but there is quite a bit of speed in here. Flavian's going to lower our price, Paul, but I think this one's going to make a big late run and have a chance to maybe upset the field. You agree, obviously.
I do, Howard. And the thing about the 10, and I agree with you about the speed, but I like the fact that the 10 is outside literally all of the other speed, because it looks like this 11 doesn't have any. And so that I can live with him being with a few other speed horses. But I do think that there's going to be an opportunity for someone running late in this race. And obviously you and I agree that people are not going to believe, Howard, that we don't communicate ahead of time. Because we really don't. So we're on the same wavelength a lot. You can like that or not. It might put you in the poorhouse. It might not. But, as you say, you're not getting 8-1 with Pratt. Deduct a few points there. But, you also get Pratt. And look I love all the Asmussens. So this is nothing about Keith. But Keith would tell you that it's an upgrade to go to Flavian Pratt might be the best jockey in the country and one of the 3 to 5 best in the world. So, I just think there's going to be an opportunity, Howard, for him to run a race, like the Remington race where he was a little closer, closed. Obviously this will be a 3 times better field, but you get the point.
Yes, and he's going to have to run on horses like the 5 Brooklyn Dew, who's very fast and opened up late and just missed. I'm assuming they're going to try those same tactics. That's what you have in third. I've got the number 2, Insightful Miss, who ran big last time, although it was against Leicester. Maybe this horse is just getting into really good form and should set a nice trip on the inside and has 6 wins while the rest of the field does not. So it's not an easy race, Paul. I think the 10 is the most logical, but there are a lot of ways to go. We both are a little bit interested in number 11, Paparina, as a price. I don't think we're getting 8-1. I think it's probably more like 6-1, but I mean, it shouldn't be that low because I think she's more likely for second or third, to be very honest, but I suppose she could win. Let's go on to the next race. Sorry, I should also mention that race. I didn't do that. Number 3, Managing Mischief. That is Crownsway Racing. I do not have a ownership piece of that, but number 3, Managing Mischief, is a very honest, very, very fast filly. I just wish there wasn't quite as much speed in the race, but I did want to mention, Paul, our friends at Crownsway do have the number 3, Managing Mischief. Let's go ahead on to race 9. It's the main special weights for Arkansas breds. We've got to cover at least one Arky bred race in this sequence. It's tradition. I'm going 2-12-5. Paul's going 2-12-7. Let's take a look at this, Paul. I mean, again, Paul, let's reiterate, big full screen. We do not talk for the show, right?
We don't have time.
No, we don't have time. Again, 6 furlongs. I'm going Tiz Marcus, and so is Paul. It's $110,000 purse, 6 furlongs. What do you like about Tiz Marcus to upset perhaps the big Moorline favorite, number 12, Hicko, for Moquette and Asmussen?
Well, I think it's about race flow, Howard. I think, this 12 is third, and second. So some would say, well, we see a pattern developing here, a non-winning pattern. I think it's clear that he goes to the lead in this race. And I just think might run away and hide. Hasn't had a chance to be on the lead. Again, he's been second. Both of those races, he hit the board, ran third, ran second. It looks to me like the 12 is going to be a horse similar to the 11 that we discussed in the last race, someone who's closing, made up some ground last time. I think between the wide trip, which you would assume from out there, and the fact that I don't think this race is as fast, I don't think he's going to have time to get there. I really think the 2 is a strong possibility of gate to wire here.
Paul, this is going to bring up a common theme, mainly during our Great Race Plays show, which occurs tonight here Thursday at 9:30, and that is it's April, and about this time of the year, you see the racing secretaries mix up the 3-year-olds with the 4-year-olds in some of these races. And I know how Jackson Muniz feels about it, our wonderful co-hosting friend on Pacific Horse Players, and we've talked about this too. I got to tell you, advantage to me that the 4-year-olds at this time of year. Maybe not by a lot, but I still think the 4-year-olds have the advantage over the 3-year-olds. I understand that 12 Hicko ran a nice race, but that was restricted 3-year-olds. It was a stake. But when you look at the time form, the 2 actually ran a faster race and looks like he's coming into his own and might get the lead. I thought that the $2 Eddie race that he's coming out of was pretty live. TW Bacon, he's going to go. I like this one more, and I like this one more. I won't say a lot, but I'll tell you what, if this 2 is 5-2, something unreasonable might be happening out of my wallet, because I don't think the 12 should be 8-5, Paul, in this field.
Well, Howard, if you look at time form at all, you're just going to marry the 2, because his 96 is 7 points faster than any other horse's run in this race. Upon
with the 12 got a let's see, an 87. Now, obviously, the 12 can improve, Paul, but that race was what, 2 weeks ago? How much can the 12 really improve in 2 weeks? In fact, you could make the argument, at least I would make the argument, that the horse might regress slightly because he was geared up for the maiden effort because it was in a stake. No.
Yeah, and again, that's a listed Arkansas bred stake. I know these are all Arkansas breds, because why wouldn't you put one in the middle of the sequence when you could put it somewhere else? But you're gonna, be with the Asmussen factor, the fact that he's coming off a stake. This morning line could be accurate. I don't know that the 2 is going to be 5-2, but I think I'd be 2-1 would be fine.
Yeah, it's so funny. Wow, you're gonna love reading the power picks, because you just took the words right out of my mouth. I don't want to say what's on the power picks, but when you see them say, you're gonna laugh. I have 409 in third. This 15-1, I don't really believe. I think the horse, if you watch the replay of the number 5, 409, it says clipped heels. There's no doubt this horse had a really bad steady and still ran on. I know he looks slow, but I think the 5 can improve. You've got Personal Jet, who received a 67 buyer at 20-1 and could be improving. I think it's mainly a 2-horse race, Paul, but would I be shocked if the 2 and 12 both lose? Not really. But I'm going to lean on Tiz Marcus. I almost made this my play of the day on the Power Pick tip sheet, although I did not. But I do like that one. Let's go on to race 10. Race 10 is a listed stake, one of 2 stakes. It's the Valley of the Vapors stakes.
Of course.
How about that? Of course, with world famous, been around for 300 years. It is a $200,000 purse, 1 mile for the fillies, 3-year-old restricted, nice field of 8. Moreline favorite is number 4, Quantum Burst, for Keneally and Flavian. Let's see where we're going to go here. I'm going 5-4-3. Look at this. Paul's going 7-8-3. So we definitely don't talk, ladies and gentlemen. We have 4 different horses in our top 2. You're going to go with the likable number 7, Miss Martini, for Asmussen and Keith, 3-1 morning line. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. This race, I obviously took a long look at the 4, the morning line favorite, 9-length win, but at 1-9. So, she's supposed to win that race. I think between that margin of victory and Pratt, Uh, I just don't, I think the price, this horse is going to be a little bit over a bet. I think the 7 could set a decent trip, Howard. I think the 2, I keep saying I think, I don't know why. Not the 2, yes, the 2 is a dead cent here from the rail, I believe, which is another way of saying I think. And the 7, I will get a trip in that second flight and first run, and I think takes the lead going home. And unless the 4 is just a freak off that last race, but I'm going to take a shot that she isn't.
Paul, I have no problem with your pick whatsoever. I do have a question though. Steve Asmussen's pretty smart guy, correct, Paul?
Yes,
He's won a few races in his lifetime.
more than anyone ever in North America.
This filly is by Curlin out of a Will Take Charge mare, screaming out distance, right? Yet in her first 4 starts, he sprints her. Bizarre. That's all I'm going to say. I find that a little bit weird and a little bit disconcerting. Call me crazy, call me overthinking. Don't you think Steve would want to stretch this horse out earlier and think that, maybe she's an Oaks horse at some point, cost $225? I find it strange, Paul, that they're waiting this long to stretch her out. What say you about that?
I will defer to the gentleman who's won more races than anyone in the history of North American thoroughbred racing. No, I get what you're saying. I get it. But I don't know that there's anything in those first few races that we're screaming out Oaks, as in Kentucky Oaks. It's only April. There's still, excuse me, there's still 8.5 months out of the year to stretch her. And as you say, obviously with that breeding, you would think it wouldn't be an issue. But we'll see. If she comes too late and runs third, I'll say, geez, Howard was right. They should have stretched this horse out.
I don't know. I just want to bring that up. I'm going to go with the 5 here. It's not my strongest opinion. Dare to Fly. D'Amato taking over the training. Very interesting. Irad riding, also interesting, has been working fantastically. This horse also needs to stretch out. Daredevil on the male side out of a Bluegrass Cat mare. This is a complete guess. I'm going to be very honest. I don't love this selection. But the horse is working well, and I like Irad. I think there's enough pace here. There's just a lot of horses I don't like. I'm not sure what to do with the 1. I'm going to use her. I think she's actually a bit interesting. I don't like the 2. The 3, I know, she lost to Fondly. I thought that race was very slow late. I know the fractions look good, Paul, but that track was lightning fast that day. Quantum Burst won last time and did it well, but again, it was over that same Colonial track. I'm slightly dubious of that. I think the 7, I'm not sure about the sprinting. I don't know. There's just a lot of question marks here. I'm going to go with Dare to Fly. I'm hoping that she continues to improve. I think I'm getting a price. It's not my best choice I've ever made, but I'm going to go with Dare to Fly. Any other thoughts in this race? You've got the 8 Legal Empress. I mean, this is a wide open race, Paul. I think literally anyone except the 2 can win this race.
Yeah, I agree. You're going to have to make some decisions in the pick 5 sequence unless you just have the budget to go all, which is you can do at your own peril. But I do think this is the type of race where you may want to go a little narrower than you think you should, because if you go as wide as you want to, you're going to be too narrow in other spots.
I mean, you don't want to use 7 horses in an 8-horse field. I mean, so
Correct.
that's the benefit of an ABC ticket or some kind of weighted ticket. We shall see. Paul, before we move on to the big one, let me take this banner off the screen. I have a very exciting announcement that you are aware of, but the people at home are not aware of. We are now partnering up with another sponsor. And this one is one I've been waiting for a long time. I want to especially thank Gino Piccola out there and Tom Quinones as well from, drumroll, the Daily Racing Form. We have now partnered up with DRF. We've been using DRF products since the beginning. Actually, I'm a huge fan of their products, as everyone at home knows, including their formulator, which I think, Paul, the DRF formulator with all its live links is the best tool out there for handicapping, in my opinion. I know a lot of people, you at home, have a lot of choices. You can use Equibase, you can use it. There's a zillion, Brisnet, etc. I highly recommend you look into DRF. We're going to be doing some promotional things with them, Paul. Gino Bacola is going to be coming on. We'll be talking about more about their products, especially for the next 3 months. So we are very happy in the short term to be partnering up with the Daily Racing Forum for the next 3 weeks. So shout out to the DRF. Thank you, everyone at DRF. And as part of our deal, Paul, they're giving us some things as well that for sure will help us with our handicapping. So we greatly appreciate that, Paul. It's good to be sponsored by such a wonderful organization. And again, just to be nationally recognized as a podcast people will want to be involved with.
It's terrific. I've been using DRF since the beginning. I've used other products and I still, I like you, I'm sure, there's always supplemental, but for me, the DRF PPs have been the staple. Formerly, when I used to have to run out to the store on Saturday morning and make sure I got my racing form. Those are the not so good old days. Although I did enjoy doing it, by the way. I did some strange things to get racing forms. Calling stores and going when they open. Oh, God, I'm sick. But anyway, the DRF has been a staple for me, and it's tremendous to be associated with them.
Paul, I don't know if you saw it on the screen. I didn't even talk to Matt. Apparently, our team is working on a trade right now that I'm not aware of. So, Matt, don't do anything crazy. And by the way, he does have to get my approval. Not because you're my teammate, Matt, but because I'm the commission. So everyone's got to get my approval. So I'm sure knowing Matt, the wheeling and dealing will be fantastic. I look forward. What pick does Charlie have? Is it 3? Charlie and Noah? Am I right about that?
Yes.
Interesting. Dropping down one spot maybe for us.
I will tell you this, young Charlie, if you're listening and I love you, you better have both hands in your pockets.
Whoa. Wow. Okay. Well, we'll see. Are you suggesting Matt might outwit him in that situation?
I'm just suggesting he should have both hands in his pockets.
All right.
And his head on a swivel.
Charlie, whatever Mr. Miller says, I recommend you do. How's that? All right. Let's go on to the. So anyway, thanks to DRF. Let's go on to the big one, Paul. $1.25 million Oaklawn Handicap. It's a grade 2. It is one of the better older male two-turn dirt races every year, at least by the purse. And prestige, I don't know about prestige, but it's pretty well known out there. This year, it's a field of 8, and the morning line favorite is the very likable number 3 First Mission, Cox and Pratt. We've talked about this horse a lot as a Godolphin. You also have Skippy Longstocking in there. You have the up-and-coming Alexander Helios, Banishing, Disarm, and of course, your favorite, Red Route or Red Route 1 as one of 2 for Asperson. Of course, Safi's got the 4 and the 5. Paul, this is a very, very interesting race. And I got to tell you, I don't know if any of these horses are winning the Breeders' Cup Classic. For these group of horses, Paul, this is like their Breeders' Cup. It's for $1.25 million. You've got to believe these horses are geared up and ready to go because, to be very honest, I don't see a race this year of this purse that a lot of these horses, frankly, are capable of winning. Maybe First Mission, but this is a monster opportunity for all these horses. We originally thought some bigger, these are pretty big names, but we thought maybe a Fierceness would be here, or especially a Sierra Leone. As fate would have it, it didn't work out that way, but it's a very nice field. Anyway, let's see where we're going here. It's a 1.125 mile, race 11. I am going. And I can't believe I'm doing this because I'm usually against this horse, Paul. I'm going 4-3-2. Paul's going 3-7-2. Paul, I have mad love for First Mission. I'm getting a little bit sick of his act. Maybe he'll stuff me into a locker on Saturday. I know I've got him second. Talk about First Mission, who is not Giroux. The Coxes, they're not messing around. We're going to write to Flava Flav on Saturday. I'm sure that was part of your thinking.
A big part. No disrespect, but that's a big upgrade. Howard, at face value, I played this horse last time and watched the race, and on face value, no real excuse. Got beat fair and square by Alexander Helios and Banishing, who both come back here, along with, as you brought up, Skippy and the venerable Red Root one, who never puts two good races together in a row.
Do you want to talk about this race, Paul? Let me get to a spot. So we got the two on the lead. Alexander Helios is tracking, and then in behind his First Mission. Let me get to the spot where I want to get to. I bet First Mission pretty heavily in this race. I know that he was coming off the layoff, as we're in a little bit of a lag now. I don't know why. Okay, I know this was First Mission's first race off of a layoff fall, but I don't understand why Giroux is 3 lengths off when they're going 23-4 and 47-3. I see you're shaking your head. I mean, maybe the horse needed one and was a prep just for this, but I don't understand why he was still that far off the pace. And then when the time came to really pick up these horses, which we're going to see right now, he's right here. Boy, I thought right here he's like 4 to 5 to win this thing. He just wouldn't go by. What do you think about this race in general?
The more I watched this, Howard, and thought about it, the more I like him on Saturday.
Okay.
And that might seem counterintuitive. These two horses on the front end threw it down. As you said, it was not a lightning pace. I was having the same thoughts as you did watching that race. I didn't like the fact he was 3 off, but I did still think he'd win. And sometimes in handicapping, you got to develop a little bit of amnesia. It's easy to get pissed off and say, geez, he had no excuse last time, I'm not coming back with him. I will give you one Cox stat. I know he's good in virtually every category, but this one in particular, 2 off a 180 to 360 day layoff, 26% win. So I definitely think the horse will move forward. Howard, this horse has had 5 timed workouts since that last race. First at Fairgrounds at Cox's base, and then once Cox moved the operation over to Churchill, he's had 3 at Churchill. I just think it's all systems go, and Pratt is the icing on the cake. So
look, I've got him as an A, Paul, but I mean, he's going to be 8 to 5. He's only 1 for 5 lifetime going 1 mile and 1/8. And when he won, it was at Oaklawn, but it was in the Essex with a very soft pace. This is going to be a fast pace. It's not like he passes horses that readily. I know he did it very well in the Ali Sheba on Derby weekend when I was there last year, but that was in the slop against a worse field. I don't know what it is. I used to love this horse, and now I'm a little, I don't know. I'm using him. This is not some crazy toss. I wouldn't bet him on the win end at 9 to 5. There's just no way I would do that. So I'm going to go to Skippy. And look, you know how I feel about Skippy. This is an incredible horse who Savvy spots this horse fantastically. 3.4 million. You know what though? I think he likes 1 mile and 1/8. I think he's going to sit a great trip. I think I might get an okay price. I mean, not a great price. There's just a lot of horses in here that I'm not so sure about. Alexander Helios is going to have to prove it to me again. I know he's getting better, Paul, but this is a tougher spot. He's got to stretch out. Actually, the stretch out's not an issue, but it's a tougher spot. I don't know if he's going to get exactly the same trip. I'm going to try to beat him. I just think Skippy is very logical here, and it's more of a slight knock against First Mission rather than a let's go with Skippy big time kind of situation. So the horse that I'm actually really interested in that I almost put in second or maybe on top is the number 2 Disarm. You've got this one third. If you remember, Paul, this is another horse I've been chasing a little bit. He disappointed me quite a bit, and he was not very good last year. Let's just call it like it is. He was a very nice 3-year-old, but last time he was up much closer to the pace than normal. He outlasted Ben Duke. Ben Duke's a nice horse. You've got to believe Asterson's got him cranked. He definitely wants 1 mile and 1/8. He's also one of the better closers in this field. It might set up real well for Disarm second off the layoff, Paul, at a price. I am absolutely using Disarm as one of my top 3 in this race, and so are you.
Yeah, well, I paid to watch him not run that well last year, Howard, many times. It was pay-per-view for me.
Yeah, so
So,
did I.
um, yeah, I'm going to use him as a C in my grid just in case. I have
Okay.
in my PPs written to use him on the board, to play second and third. So yeah, I'm not gonna totally jump off the ship at this point.
I like the fact that he shows more tactical speed last time. Maybe, but I don't think he needs to. Let's quickly we talked about Alexander Helios. Tarantino, I don't think has a shot in hell, but will definitely show speed in this race. So that's going to be interesting. Banishing. This is a really interesting horse. Stretching out to mile and eighth for David Jacobson. He is in unbelievable form, but he's been getting really soft, nice candy inside trips against a little bit lesser. He did beat Saudi Crown last time. He's 7-2. I'm a little bit against, but if he wins, would I be shocked? No, you've got him second.
Yeah, I agree with you on the form, Howard. He would. You really, there's no knock on the way that this horse has been running, including that last race. When two back. Sorry, I meant the race that you showed where he just got
Yeah.
nosed by
Yeah.
Helios. I mean that's a winning effort. So if you give him an extra head going forward, there. I mean he has won 5 out of 7 and lost by a head twice, and that dates back to last October. So Jacobson's not afraid to run this horse. I'm not the president of the David Jacobson fan club, but Santana fits him, has ridden him, fits him well. Santana is good on a forward horse. So, I do agree with you about the caliber of the respective fields. And I certainly want First Mission more than him in this race, despite the result 2 races back.
It's going to be a fun race. We didn't even talk about Red Route 1, the number 8, who won last time. I'll tell you what, Paul, it could be a very fast pace again. This field is significantly tougher than the Essex. I just don't see it. But if it falls apart, I'll tell you what, Red Route 1 is going to be rolling. So he might be a board horse, it feels like, for you this time instead of on the win end. Won last time at 5-1 in the Essex.
Yeah, I managed to get beat by him last time, which is impressive for someone who plays him all the time. I forget who I got caught up with in that race, but it's no one who won the race. So, but he look at $2.1 million homebred. So he owes Ron Winchell nothing.
No, not at all. Before we get into the last race, Paul, and talk about our best bets and rants, I do want to bring up something very important. Our Kentucky Derby Oaks specialty power pick package is now available, ladies and gentlemen. All you have to do is go to our website. I'm going to show it right here. Go to our website, go up to the power pick tip sheet, and click on that. And there's a drop down for Oaks Derby power picks. You can learn all about it's full card Friday and Saturday. You cannot buy them separately, ladies and gentlemen. They come together. One comes on Friday morning, one Saturday morning. Full card grid, power pick tip sheet, spot plays, horizontal plays. All of us are involved. Myself, Pete, and Paul are the ones that write the most of it. You can find out how to pay for it, etc. Not only that, Paul, we do have the example also of last year's. You can go ahead and scroll through it. This was the Oaks one, and I want to bring up the very last page because we had plenty of good selections. But the very last page, Paul, who's going to win? Yes. We picked out Torpedo Anna, who I think, I forgot to look it up, Paul. Was she like 9-2 or something like ridiculous?
Yeah, I think
in hindsight, right? I mean, crazy.
Yeah, about $10. Yeah.
Yeah. So in hindsight, look, Paul, it's very simple. We don't expect everyone to play our picks exactly. We just want to give you some food for thought. But if we toss out a 4-1 that you like, you play it. You put $10 to win. Paul, you've already paid for the entire tip sheet for 2 days with a ton of information. So it pays for itself, sometimes only off of one pick. Again, please make sure you look into our Kentucky Derby. I actually have a banner for it. Where is it? There we go. Into our Kentucky Derby Oaks package. Not only will it help you for Oaks Derby weekend, Paul, we really would appreciate your support. in helping all of our hosts and co-hosts and myself and all the hard work that we do. So we'd really appreciate you looking into our Oaks Derby package on our website, hhhracingpodcast.com. Almost 20 pages. And you know what, Paul? I've seen packages out there for $70, $80, $100, like ridiculous amounts. Ours is half that. And we give a lot of really good information. So please look into our Oaks Derby package. All right, let's go on to the last race, Paul, and then we'll end the show with a few things. Race 12 is the end of the pick 5. It's an allowance race for Arkansas breds. 130,000 is the purse. 6 furlongs. Morning line favorite is the number 7, Zippy, Mark, McPeak, and Esquivel. And let's see where we are going here. I think we're going different places if I recall. Here it is. I'm going to, nope, look at that, Paul. We're in simpatico. I'm going 10-7. You're going 10-4. Al's Romeo, 6-1. Paul, I don't think we're getting to 6-1. And if we do, something unreasonable might be coming out of my wallet on Saturday.
Well, that's presuming there's anything left after your previous unreasonable bet.
Oh, there will be, my friend. Don't you worry.
I know.
If not, I'll go to the backup wallet. You know, everyone's got the backup wallet.
This is a race. I don't know about you, Howard. This was kind of a race flow play for me. Now, look at this 10 shows races that he goes to the lead. I think the way that he's run the last 2 races since the trainer switch back to Shea Stewart is how he will run here. I think this is a fast pace. I think it's a horse who's going to come from behind. I don't think he's going to be back of pack. Okay, time for there you go. That's about what I was thinking as you brought it up. So I think more mid pack, and I think gets a good run here. And I do think this race is going to be won in that fashion. And I think he is the most likely one to do it.
You know, I think it's Albert Pusak, right? I believe it's Albert. Look,
Yes,
not a household name, 9%, 8%. I don't know about you, Paul, but when a jock rides a horse specifically and rides him or her well, I don't really care too much. I would guess most of his good results are on this horse, right? So, I mean, why are we so worried about another jockey when he knows this horse well? All he does is run. He's in great form. He's gotten some work since. I'm slightly worried about the work tab. I mean, one March 21st and work out till March 22nd. Then it works out 3 weeks later. But I mean, second best of 80. Maybe it's just one of these horses that doesn't need to show a lot of published works. And obviously, Shea Stewart's got this horse in great form. I agree. I like Al's Romeo here quite a bit. I'm guessing Al's Romeo is going to be more like 3-1, but look, that's fine with me. And then we both have the 2 who I also, Campisi, who is in very good form. Ran, I thought, a pretty tough race against Touchdown Arkansas. And this horse just keeps improving, getting better. I know he was a claimer before, and he's 3 for 28, but he's not acting like a 3 for 28 horse lately.
Well, he's 14 for 28 on the board, and I think that's where you and I are figuring he's going to finish. So a note about Alberto Pusak, Howard, will make you feel better.
Yes.
Maybe not a household name to us, but 9,618 starts, 914 wins, $16 million in career earnings. So this is a journeyman for sure, and he's never ridden a graded stakes winner. Just one of those guys that makes up the room. And I agree with you. Hey, look, it's a race for Arkansas bred, folks. It's not the Forgo. All right, so don't get too concerned here.
Yeah, I think he's very interesting. Let's go to our best bets quickly, and then we will talk about our 2 rants. Paul, best bet, race 9. He's going a double 2 with 7, and then he's going to play pick 3 starting race 9, 2 with 7 with 3-7. I'll give you 30 seconds to talk about it if you'd like, Paul.
Yeah, well, the key is that Tiz Marcus, the 2 horse we talked about in the second leg of this sequence that I said I thought was just going to go right to the lead. The 7 is that Miss Martini. I touched on it. There's a million ways you can go in that race, but I'm going to, for the purposes of the best bet, I'm just going to go with him because I think deeper than 1 or maybe 2, you could get to 6 pretty quickly. And then into the handicap, I have First Mission, and I did throw Banishing in there just because of the form that you and I talked about.
I like it. I am going to race 8. I'm going to use the 11 Paparina underneath mainly. I'm not sure she's good enough to win, Paul, but I do like her quite a bit underneath, clunking up for a decent piece. And then in race 12, I'm just going to put a win bet on the number 10 that we just talked about for Alberto Pusak. Look, I would take 4-1. Again, we've talked about this a lot, Paul. One of the reasons why I like to play horizontally is if you single a 6, I don't know if I would do this, but if I were to single a 6-1 on the end of the pick 5, it just happened enough, happy to get to that horse and fortunate enough. And if he wins and he's 6-1 morning line, even if he goes off at 5-2, that is going to exponentially increase the payoff of the pick 5. So I like to single horses that are between 4 and 8-1, because even if the horse goes off lower, which I expect that one to, we are going to get value, my friend. We have 2 rants to discuss. Let me take the banner off the screen. You and I, there are a lot of heated conversations over the weekend in Lexington, and I say heated, not angry, but with a lot of veracity, with a lot of excitement, and people are very strong about their opinions. And we have 2 rants, one which should invoke at least some discussion amongst people in the chat and whatnot. And I purposely ended slightly early tonight so we can have a good 1 or 2 minute rant here. But we have separate rants tonight. So let me first, we haven't shown this in a while, Paul. I think, we got to do it. First, the original ranter, it's Paul's rant of the week. Paul,
All right.
I know you have a very strong opinion about something. Hit it.
Well, we talk a lot about Derby fever syndrome, and if you indulge me, Howard, for a minute, I want to tell you a very quick story. In 2021, I was on the phone with a guy named Mark Schwartz who owned a horse named Brooklyn Strong. Brooklyn Strong picked up 10 points in the Derby by winning the Remsen as a 2-year-old. Never gained another point. And lo and behold, about 10 days out from the Derby, was sitting, worked his way into the top, say, 25. But they weren't going to run, so they took him off the list. You get the update from Darren Rogers, right? If the owner or the trainer or owner says we're off the list, i.e. Owen Almighty, they take him off the list. But that wasn't the case here. They just assumed they weren't running with 10 points. So Mark Schwartz called me and said, hey, how come we're not on the list? I said, because they don't think you're running. He said, well, what if I want to run? I said, you got to call them. So he calls Churchill Downs. Brooklyn Strong, a New York bred who I was familiar with, runs in the Derby. I get it. Mark Schwartz paid $5,000 for the horse. He was 3 for 6 at the time going into the Derby. He, 4 years later, is 3 for 32. He's earned a lot of money. He's earned $335,000. He's still running. Great story. Owen Almighty. My beef is not an owner wanting to run in the Kentucky Derby, because God willing, we'd all love to be there someday. My beef is not listening to the guy who knows what he's talking about, the trainer. So let's remind you, Brian Lynch was on record, we're going to go to the Pat Day Mile. The horse wins the Tampa Bay Derby. They interview Brian Lynch. What does he say? We're still going to go to the Pat Day Mile. Now, remind you, this is the guy who was with the horse every day. So what happens? The owner say, you know what? Let's take a shot in the bluegrass. So they go into the bluegrass to further prove that he can't get a 1.25 miles, because he can't get a 1.1 miles, 1.1 miles, 16th, I think the bluegrass is, right? I was there, went early, okay? Am I a little bitter that he might have cost East Avenue the race? Yeah, perhaps, but East Avenue got in the Derby. I'm good. So what happens after that race? Brian Lynch, what are you going to, we had off the trail, we're going to the Pat Day Mile. What happened this week, Howard? You want to tell our viewers what happened this week?
Well, this week they did a 180. The Owen Almighty apparently is going to be in the Derby, and I think it was one of the co-owners, put something out on X that I forwarded you to Paul, and basically said that this co-owner, I'm assuming he's a co-owner of that he doesn't understand why people are so upset about the horse being in the Derby, and it's the only excitement we have left. And look at the last 3 runners of the Derby; they haven't won yet. Of course, Forever Young and Sierra Leone, who finished by that much second and third, went on to Horse of the Year and went on to win the Saudi Crown and blah blah blah. So to me, we know the Derby is a one-off and a weird thing. Paul, I couldn't agree with you more. Don't we want to do right by our horses? Now look, you and I will probably never have a chance to run a horse we own the Derby. I get it. I know what you would do, and I'm 99% positive I would do. You have to do what's best by the horse. And listen to the experts. You can translate this, Paul, to anything in life that we talk about, right? Like if I want to get my car fixed, I don't take it to my barber. Okay, I take it to the auto dealership or the guy down the street, the local oil, the oil change guy. Like I don't know much about cars at all. I'm not going to take it to someone who knows nothing about cars. You're not doing right by the horse, and it's really, really selfish, in my opinion. I'll just leave it at that. I don't mean to.
Well, let me say this.
Expand on your rant, but
it's not. We're not talking about. So Lonnie Briley has a horse in the Derby. God love him. Coal Battle.
Yeah.
Coal Battle, right?
Coal Battle. Yeah.
Yeah. 72 years old, been at it forever. Howard, this ownership group, you know how many starts they have as an ownership group total ever? 50.
The Owen Almighty group?
Yes, 50. 50. They've been running since 2024, according to what I could find on Equibase.
Okay.
So this isn't like, you know what, we might never get. This is the new kids on the block. That's Donnie Wahlberg, right, from Blue Bloods? Okay. Look, they have every right to make the decision.
Sure.
My beef is more not listening to the trainer than it is wanting to go to the Derby. Hey, and maybe I would do the same thing. I told you the story about Mark Schwartz for a reason, but a little bit different. Mark Schwartz paid $5,000 for that horse. He knew he was never going again, okay? They paid $350 for Owen Almighty, all right? So if they're playing at that level, they got, they seem to be interested in, running at a level where they can get to the Derby. Again, it's 100% up to them. I'm not really quote upset with them, as the owner said, but let's face it. And I know what people are going to say. Oh, Paul, Rich Strike won, and I'm the leader of the pack when it comes to the Derby as a one-off. But when the Derby is won by someone who you never expect, a la Rich Strike, a la Giacomo, how is it run? How is it won, Howard? What type of race flow is it? They win from the clouds.
Yes.
Okay. Rich Strike got a ride that Sonny Leone in his wildest, moistest dream could never imagine. Okay.
But Paul, that horse was bred to go longer and wanted distance. This Almighty doesn't want any part of anything longer than 8.5.
He couldn't get a mile and a 16th. Okay, now so he won the Tampa Bay Derby. Speed was pretty good that day. Look again, good luck to him. I hope the horse stays healthy. But there is the possibility you take a horse with a lot of potential to make you a lot of money down the line. And horses get disheartened just like humans get disheartened. And when that horse finishes 18th, 19th, or 20th, he may say, screw this. I don't want to do this. I hope it doesn't happen. I wish them no ill will, but that's my rant.
Agreed. I agree with you. My rant happened Saturday, and I hope our good friend Ryan Anderson hears this. Ryan Anderson, co-host of Pacific Horse Players, got his own podcast, The Gallop Out, does a great job at ABR, etc. We had a long discussion about the Jenny Wiley. And the first thing I want to say is congrats to our good friend and co-host, Pete Visco, picked Schwazia, is how it's actually pronounced. Schwazia. I completely mispronounced it on the show because I didn't look at.
Are you sure about that?
That's exactly the pronunciation of what they called when he was running in the Middle East. And I trust that more than Kurt Becker probably, but I don't know. but they pronounce him Schwazia when he ran in the Middle East. Okay. So first of all, hats off to Pete Visco, who this was his like top play and sniffed it out. But what I really want to say is here's the result of the Jenny Wiley. There's two things I want to say. I'll be much more brief than Paul. My rant here is with the Kentucky stewards. Paul, I don't understand why they're not putting up the inquiry sign in some of these big races. There's a horse race called the Kentucky Derby. You might have heard of it, where last year, when it was very obvious that Sierra Leone was in a bumping match, bumper cars all the way down the stretch with Forever Young, and it worked out well for me. So this is not crying over spilled milk. Is everyone listening at home? This is not crying over spilled milk. I benefited from that, or would have benefited from that, from the fact that the stewards did not look at the Sierra Leone contact with Forever Young. How you don't even look at it from a steward perspective is crazy. Well, I feel the same thing about Saturday, Paul. It was a very exciting finish between Schwazia, who came up the rail, Excellent Truth, who got completely screwed, in my opinion, and Kehoe Beach. And we're not going to take 10 minutes to go over this. I just want to refresh everyone's memory on the stretch run of the Jenny Wiley, if I can bring it up here. So let me just bring it up here very quickly. Here's the stretch run, and I just don't understand. I need to go to a minute 25. Okay, about right here. I don't understand how the stewards don't even put up the inquiry sign, Paul. Flavian Pratt, who's going to be right here on the one, tries to split, and the stewards just figured, okay, there's nothing to look at. I mean, this hole, this gaping hole, I mean, Schwazi got an unbelievable trip. Comes through. Here's Kehoe Beach. I have no idea, by the way, what Frankie was thinking going the 4-path the whole way. That was also bizarre because I think Kehoe Beach might have won the race if he hugs the rail. Okay, whatever. There's this gaping hole right here, and Flavian's going to tip out in a second here, and there's still a gaping hole. And even just looking at the pan live, so right here, there's clearly a hole. And as you watch it, the horse is about to explode through the hole, and the 2 comes over clearly, and Flavian almost went down, and then has to veer and cut to the inside, and still makes up ground, and only loses by what? About a half a length. And the gallop out the one immediately after that. And I don't think there's any, look at this, it's completely ridiculous. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind, and I hope not in a lot of people's mind at home, that the number 1 absolutely would have won that race if she didn't get bothered. To me, it's not even a discussion. The 1 would have won by a length if she got through. What I don't understand is twofold. Number 1, how the stewards don't even look at it. In fact, I turned to you, I think, Paul, or maybe I turned to Patrick Kunzel. I said, Patrick, this 2 is coming down. And just for the record, everyone, full screen, I needed the 2. Again, this is not spilt milk. It worked out well for me. I still don't think it was right at all. They didn't even look at it, Paul, and then they're gonna show the.
Oh, they looked at it when they put.
Well, the stewards had to wait for Flavian
to
put the objection, and this is for everyone else and for Ryan, and people can agree to disagree. That's fine. There's a gaping hole. You are not allowed to go wherever you want, even if you're in front. So clearly, the 1 and 7 are in front, right? I don't think there's a doubt of that. But as the 2 and 7, but as the 1 gets closer. Right here, I mean, he's coming over into the path. It's not even close. And then he still comes over again. So the fact that the horse stayed up, to me, was equally shocking as the fact that the stewards didn't even look at it. Now, I say look at it, I mean, they didn't put up the inquiry sign. Again, here's the 2. He's going to come over a path and a half, and Flavian almost went down. So, Paul, I'm going to end with this. The Kentucky stewards need to put up the inquiry sign when they see something like that, especially in a grade 1. That's the first thing. And the second thing is I just completely disagree with the ruling, even though it worked out for me. That's my rant.
Yeah, well, you and I talked, right, I think, as the objection was being litigated, and I don't have a strong feeling of it. I would not have made a change. I clearly don't feel as strongly about it as you do.
Okay.
I had both horses in the turf pick 3. The 2 was paying better, and of course, rooting for our paisan Pete to
Dr.
stay
K.
up with
Sorry,
his
Dr. K. That's the
Dr.
person I
K.
meant.
Yes.
Happy 75th again, John. Go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry.
And yeah, so but I would agree with that. It's kind of the reverse of the dirt mile in 23, where the inquiry went up, but the objection didn't in the Cody's Wish National Treasure race. But I would have put it up, the inquiry. Yes, I agree with you. I would not have made a change, but if they made a change, I wouldn't have thought, well, this is the worst decision ever. I think I told you I thought it was about 60-40 or something like that. So
I respect it. I just think, and look, the stewards a really tough job, and generally think Kentucky stewards do a pretty good job. But in these big races, Paul, if it's obvious to some schmo like me that Flavien almost went down in the stretch, how do they look at that race? The stewards say, let's just wait for a jockey to object. Like, I don't understand what they're waiting for. Like, I think it's their job to put up the inquiry sign when it's egregious and take a look at it. That's it.
Well,
anyway,
Howard, I will tell you this about the Kentucky stewards. When I needed maximum security to stay up for a big number, it took 22 minutes, but he came down, and years later will begrudgingly admit he needed to come down. But in the moment, I was pretty upset.
Yeah, I hear you. Last thing I'll say, Grade 1 Gamble was a blast. It ended very poorly. I've been so close, Paul. I know this does sound like crying over spilled milk, but anyone who's been following some of my contest play, I mean, the NHC was a really bad luck story, and I needed Hypnus, or I went away from Gosker, and that was a mistake. I shouldn't have, but I needed Hypnus or Prater to get to 29,000 of real money, Paul, and I think for sure finish in the top 5, and up to cash for 100,000, and I just picked the wrong. I just went to Hypnus instead of Gosker, and that was really, really painful. But also shout out to Drew Coatney, who did really well and needed a 3 to 5 shot in the last race to basically finish in the top 5. Couldn't get that home. I know you had your ups and downs. Live money contest is a lot of fun, but boy, you really have to pick the right spots. It takes a little bit of luck as well.
Yeah, I think a few of us. There was a 10-horse States something or other, the Jose Ortiz Cherie turf horse, who talk about a horse who should have won. That was kind of one of those early in the day picks that you're gonna say triple. I think in my case, roughly triple the bankroll, and kind of start the snowball rolling. And that horse ran second, and there was still a path after that, but it was a much more difficult path, and I ended up getting derailed on the Hypnus train. I feel a little, I hope I didn't talk you into him in any way, shape, or form, because when we were talking about him on the show, you seemed to come around to him a little bit. I just thought he had a pretty good chance the way the race set up, and the way the race was run, he certainly had a chance, no excuse.
There's the race you're talking about when Massero beat States Rights. States Rights had a brutal trip. I had Gosker in second and almost picked him on the show, and I didn't like the odds, and I don't know. It was a literally $100,000 mistake. That's not even exaggeration, but live and learn, Paul. Look, a lot of fun tonight, Paul. Really appreciate you coming on. We covered a lot of things. We wish everyone great luck and success at Oaklawn this Saturday with the $1.25 million Oaklawn Handicap. Stick around in about 20 minutes as we're here live Thursday. We've got great race plays, 9:30 Eastern. Talk about a challenging late pick four on Easter Sunday at Santa Anita. Crush your bets at Oaklawn this Saturday. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.